This weekend's Yu-Gi-Oh! Extravaganza has come and gone, and I have all of the raw breakdowns and details for you guys. It was definitely an interesting weekend for Yu-Gi-Oh! Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more on this content. So the online Extravaganza or a breakdown I have for you guys here. I just want to say for everybody that's always like, Robbie, where do you get this info? I want to find this info online. I have to actually manually put this together from the players that played the event among, other participants as well. So this is a whole lot of work put into combining, results from players. So if you think that there's just a place you can find some of these events online, no, this is just a lot of good hard work from people that actually choose to answer and put together the info with me. So I want to thank all of you for that, just as a little beginning here. So best represented deck in the room for top 16 was 6 tier elements. Oh boy. Ah, man, I'm not surprised at all to see that Tier was holding on for such a high representation. You'll see as we get further into Top Cut here that will change, but that was definitely interesting. Now, there were 4 Runic Sprite decks in Top Cut. Runic Sprite actually was the dominant Sprite build for this event, which I was actually particularly intrigued with that thought. The fact that Runic had 4 slots in Top Cut for this event, I don't know. I didn't think a lot of people would go towards that build as much, but it was definitely interesting to see that. We also had 2 Flaunderies in Top Cut, one of which was Hanko Chow. I definitely think you'll be able to see his list on TCG Player later on in the week, so you guys will be able to look forward to that. Now, we also had an Evil Twin Sprite list. We will come back to that later on, but just keep that in mind. We also had 1 Math Mech deck make its way into Top Cut as well. Do not underestimate Math Mech. A good player behind the wheels of a Math Mech deck will OTK you really, really easily. We also had a Sword Soul list in Top Cut, which I'm also kind of surprised to see that held on for as long as it did. And then we also had a Rika Sun Avalon list as well. So that was your top 16, actually kind of diverse. Now, as we push into top 8 here, this is where things get interesting. We're down to 3 Tier Elements decks at this point. What ended up happening there? I definitely didn't see that we lost half of the competition there, did we? Well, yes, we did. We also had 1 Rika Sun Avalon in top 8 as well. So Rika did carry over. All right, that's good. Mathmech held on as well. That Evil Twin Sprite variant holding on as well. And then we had 1 Runic Sprite deck. 3 of the Runic Sprite decks ended up blowing up in top 16. That's not a good conversion rate in terms of my opinion here. And then we also had 1 Flaunderies. So 1 Flaunder ended up getting knocked out along the way, but you see the raw numbers there. That Runic build did not hold on through the course of that event, which is actually kind of really sad to say, because that deck seemed really, really good. Now, as we push on into top 4 here, you had... Where'd all the tier go? Can you find all the tier players? Oh, they're not here? Oh, well, that's weird. We had Evil Twin Sprite, 1 Math Mech, 1 Flaunderies, and 1 Rika Sun Avalon. Talk about a lot of just desperate change to the format. Tier got bullied out here. Your grand finals was actually Sprite Evil Twin versus Math Mech. And Evil Twin ended up winning the event. I will say, like, after a massive grind through that Top Cut, seeing that change here is absolutely stunning. And to all the participants and everybody out here, a lot of the common names that you see in the community, it was actually really nice to see all of this. Now, I'm going to pass on over here a couple deck lists. No, a lot of people wanted to keep their deck list quiet for upcoming YCSs. So if you're like, where's the Rika Sun Avalon list? I don't have it because they wanted to keep it quiet. All right? You got to remember, we get this info from players. If they don't want to share, I can't force them. That's not how life works. These are from people that are genuinely nice enough to share content. So we're going to pass on over to the 4 deck list we have. All right, the first list we're going to be looking at here is Francis's top 8 list. And I will say it is absolutely amazing to see the tier. Didn't quite make it all the way through Top Cut, but you can see like the innovations within the course of the format here. DD Crow will soon probably be replaced by Magnamut and friends, but for now, Crow definitely showing up as that go-to pincher. Super Poly in the main decks here across the board is so amazing, man. Like, I remember hearing people talk about, I want to see Super Poly Limited. Nah, it's an equalizer at times. 2 Solic in the main deck. I have seen 1 Solic in the main, 1 in the side. I've also seen builds that push 3 Solic. I guess it's going to come down to what you as the player really want to do. Interesting innovations down here in the extra. We have 1 Bomber Dragon. Technically, I guess triggering a Tier Fusion during your opponent's turn for a Bomber Dragon to, chomp off everything actually is pretty cool. And then we're actually seeing Underworld Goddess here. I actually have not seen a lot of Underworld Goddess show up within these tier decks, so I suppose that this is actually a pretty cool innovation in and in itself here, considering at the end of the day. Also, 1 Sprite Elf, of course, just being the free extender chicken tendies that it really wants to be for this deck, but at the end of the day, wow, we're actually just on 2 Reaper, 2 Troll as well. Huh. I mean, I guess sometimes you just can't decide on what ratios you want to go with, so I suppose you end up just going with the best results at the end of the day. All right, well, overall, that's your first tier list. Next up is Runic Sprite. This would be Kolmaki's top 16 list here. Now, straight off the bat, you got Yield DD Crows in here. You do see that we are playing Ipriya. This is actually going to become more of a common theme over time here, because just free on-summon effects to draw cards is just free real estate for a deck like this. All right, literally, Gigantic Sprite into an Ipriya, depending on where the rest of your combo is, you're like, oh, okay, feels really good. I also like the fact that, once again, you see those 2 lone swap frogs out here just waving at everybody going, hi. Free bounce backs, I guess, free extenders if need be, free abilities to make totally awesome. And then you have the entire, basic Runic package still within the deck. Still only focusing on 1 Runic Fountain. I will tell you that a few people are like, well, maybe we should try 2 Runic Fountains. Every build that I've seen be successful up until this point has mainly focused on just the inclusion of the 1 fountain. I feel like if you try to bulk down when, try to add more bricks to the deck, because, I mean, obviously you should be going into Hugin anyway to get to the fountain. If you're trying to bulk down on more, bad resources, I feel like you're just going to have a bad time at the end of the day. So just more little things to consider. Most of the intricate pieces within a deck like this flow and function the way that they should. All right, so that is your first Sprite Runic list on the block. It is definitely still kind of cool to see that this is working. Next up is our next tier list. Now, this is pretty standard as well. I will say that seeing the Danger package back here is kind of a nice sigh of relief. I know a few people were like, oh, we're just going to cut the Danger package. There's not really much of a reason to continue to play this. I mean, it does facilitate a lot of, the best combo engineering that you can have here. Also, Double Dynamiscus. Do not underestimate Dino Nuggies. All right? The fact that this thing... You're never really going to revive this card as a trap. Sometimes you will. I remember hearing just a few people talk about some of the profiles like, yeah, this card, sometimes it never comes back. Sometimes it does. But you mainly care about this as a spot removal resource against something like Mystic Mine or another troublesome card. Of course, we're still doing the Skullmark Ladybug thing for those of you that are like, oh, yeah, you curious dump this in time. And guess what? You mysteriously gain 1,000 life points. According to time rules, you probably just won the game. Yu-Gi-Oh! We still have good old Pointer of the Red Lotus down here as well, seeing play. I know a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, we're just going to cut a Pointer. There's no point in playing it as a 1-of. I don't know if you realize this or not, but there's a reason why Trap Dust Shoot ended up getting banned. The card was that amazing at the end of the day. And of course, Triple Ghost Reapers is still showing up as well down here to kind of devastate and punish the opponent. Really, outside of that, like I said, this feels very, very standardized as well for what you would see within the format for tier. And then we have 1 more Runic Sprite. Now, this feels a little bit more standard. We have 1 freaking cap shell in here. 1 cap shell with triple Ipriya. This is the dream here. The fact that, we'd be including cap shell in something competitive. I also see that we had good old Wind Up Kitten here as well. So for that, everybody's like, oh my gosh, Wind Up Kitten actually seeing play? Yes. Wind Up Kitten, this is why you play it, because it's a spot removal bounce for the opponent. We also had 2 deck lockdown. Neither player can add cards from their deck to their hand except by drawing them. Monsters cannot be special summoned from the main deck, and then destroy this card during your second standby phase after activation. You see this card, you're probably going to punish your opponent. And then, of course, we're still very, very hand-trapped in this build. With the double Droll, the double Reaper, for like more hard-hitting hits, Jared definitely came up with some pretty awesome innovations to this build. I will definitely say, in terms of like hardcore testing, in terms of ratios, this would be probably one of the builds that I would probably go with, just because these tech choices, you know, Cap Shell, Wind Up Kitten, will win you games just out of left field. So what do you guys think about this Extravaganza breakdown? Please leave a comment about what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.